Okay, let's dive right into this. If you're here, you're the kind of learner who just wants to get straight to the facts, and boy, do we have some truly fascinating stuff to look at today. We're talking breaking news from the Department of War and their newly unsealed UFO files. Decades of heavy mystery are finally being put onto the public record. So let's jump into this explainer and see exactly what these source documents are actually revealing. Here's how we're going to break it all down today. First, the pursuing transparency effort. Second, the timeline of the document releases. Third, the incredible Apollo 11 encounter. And finally, the massive public response we've been seeing. Starting off with Section 1, the Pursue Transparency Effort, tracking the government initiatives to unseal these UAP records. Now, to really understand these documents, we kind of have to understand the policy behind them first. President Trump set out a clear goal for complete transparency regarding UFOs, or as they're more commonly known now, UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. The whole objective here is completely impartial. They aren't trying to tell you what to think. They're just organizing and releasing years of heavily guarded, classified intelligence so the public can analyze it. The framework they created for this is called Pursue, which stands for the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters. And this isn't just a sudden data dump. According to the files, officials have been working for literally years to gather all these disparate documents, videos, and images together so that you and I can actually draw our own conclusions. Moving on to Section 2, the timeline of document releases, where we track the rollout of all these classified files. Let's move to the timeline and see how this all builds, because the Pentagon definitely isn't dropping everything all at once. It officially kicked off earlier this month on May 8th. That's when they launched the dedicated war.gov/UFO website and released the very first batch of once classified documents. Which brings us right to the present day, tracking the breaking release of Batch 2. We don't have the exact page count for the second batch just yet, but it's continuing that systematic declassification. And looking ahead, the Department of War confirms they're already actively working on a third release for the near future. This rolling approach ensures a steady stream of historical intel just keeps coming into the light. All right, Section 3, the Apollo 11 encounter. Let's look at some declassified evidence from space and beyond. So we're going to zoom in from the macro policy down to the micro evidence, and this is where it gets absolutely wild. Buried right there in the initial May 8th release was a total bombshell. During the historic Apollo 11 mission, literally the mission that put the first human beings on the moon, astronaut Buzz Aldrin reported observing a mysterious, unexplained object. For decades, details like this were locked away in classified vaults, right? But now, there they are, in black and white on the Pentagon's public server. Let's look at the exact wording from the declassified files. Aldrin described his initial visual of the object simply as a fairly bright light source. Now, on its own, out in the massive void of space, a light source could be almost anything. It could be debris, a strange reflection, maybe another satellite. But it wasn't just the appearance of this object that got it flagged in these classified UAP files. It was the behavior of that light. Now, what's really interesting about this is the movement. According to the declassified record of Aldrin's encounter, this mysterious object made multiple 90-degree turns at a speedy clip. I mean, just think about the physics required to execute sharp 90-degree turns at high speeds in the total vacuum of space. It absolutely defies standard orbital mechanics. It defies anything we understand about conventional spacecraft maneuvering, especially using technology from the Apollo era. It's just mind-bending. And this brilliantly illustrates a recurring pattern we're finding in the Batch 1 files. It wasn't an isolated incident. Look at this comparison. On one hand, you have Aldrin up in space seeing multiple 90-degree turns at a speedy clip. But then on the other hand, the files detail an entirely different event over the skies of Kazakhstan, involving a blaringly bright object doing corkscrew twists. So whether they're in the vacuum of space or flying inside Earth's atmosphere, these UAPs are documented doing these highly dynamic, seemingly impossible physical maneuvers. Which leads us to Section 4, the public's massive response to all these unsealed records. When the government opens up a vault this secretive, you better believe the world pays attention. 1 billion. That's a billion with a B. That is the staggering number of worldwide views the war.gov/UFO website has received just since it launched on May 8th. A billion views in a matter of weeks? This number, which comes straight from the War Department, just perfectly captures how massive the public interest really is. People all over the globe are skipping the secondary sources and going directly to the Pentagon's platform to see these once classified files with their own eyes.
So the crucial point is this. We are right in the middle of a completely unprecedented historical data release. The unclassified materials available right now include primary source documents, videos, and photos, and the whole shebang is hosted publicly at war.gov/UFO. It all comes back to that central administration goal of the Pierce system, which is to present the evidence totally neutrally, not telling anyone what to believe, but empowering you to look at the facts and think for yourself.
We've seen Batch 1 reveal some incredible things, like the Apollo 11 encounter, and Batch 2 is actively being dissected by millions of people as we speak. Plus, with the Pentagon confirming that a third release is coming in the near future, the vault is still opening. So my question to you is, as you review these physics-defying accounts and newly unsealed photos, what conclusions will you draw from the files? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep that curiosity sharp, and seriously, I highly encourage you to go check out the primary sources for yourself.